What's happening, boxing fans? It is Dr. Bring It. Happy Monday, everybody. Well, guess what? It is 35 degrees Fahrenheit outside right now. As you can see behind me, you can barely see behind me because there's frost on my screen door. It is 35 degrees. You know what that means? That means it's only a couple of degrees warmer than freezing temperature. So needless to say, I have my coat on, I had to take the garbage out, and it is just really cold outside. So have you guys watched fighting this past weekend? There was a bunch of stuff going on. I was over at Madison Square Garden in New York City this past weekend, and I had covered the UFC fights, the Ultimate Fighting Championship fights. And that was just an unbelievable night of fights. There was a lot of stuff going on. I encourage you guys to try to find some of the fights. They're probably on YouTube at some point. And you can watch some of those fights and you tell me what you guys think of UFC. But after, after the main event, I heard that DAZN didn't want to compete with the UFC. So what they did was they waited until after the last fight for UFC to start the Canelo and Kovalev match. Now, I'm not sure if that was just rumors, but a lot of people in the media that night over at Madison Square Garden, they agreed, and they actually said that that's what they agreed upon, that they didn't want to compete with the UFC, so DAZN decided to just wait. Good thing that these guys were over in Las Vegas and it was only like 9, 10 o'clock at night for them. But meanwhile, it was like way past midnight for us here in the New York area. But anyway, so what did you guys think of the Canelo Kovalev fight? Now, just about a month ago, I had made a prediction. And I had said that Canelo was going to be attacking the body with a lot of counterpunching. Now, I had also mentioned that this was the right strategy against a bigger Kovalev, to take away his lungs, to make him tired, and use his explosive power and counterpunching to be able to beat Kovalev. Now, mind you, as you guys know, if you guys are Canelo followers, you know that he has that explosive knockout power. He's always had that kind of power. That's why everyone loves Canelo. However, a lot of people, they disagreed with me, and they said that, of course, you know, Canelo was the one that's moving up into light heavyweight, that he was too light, Kovalev was too big, and this is his domain. All of those arguments were definitely respectable. I didn't necessarily disagree with all of those different arguments. But one thing that I do, the approach that I have in fighting, I ask myself a very simple question. Which of the two fighters are more skilled? It doesn't matter, really, if the other person is much bigger or what. Like if it's size difference, or, you know, like that doesn't really make a compelling argument to me, because of course that's why there are weight classes. You know, you're not saying like you're going to walk in the ring at 120 pounds and then the other guy's 140 pounds. We're talking about the same weight class. So, of course, naturally, Canelo is going to move up. He was moving into 175, and he walked in there at a very similar weight. So the question really was, is Canelo going to be effective at that weight against Kovalev? And for me, it was kind of an easy prediction, in the sense that I just felt that Canelo was just the more skilled fighter. Now, again, Kovalev, I've always loved watching Kovalev fight because the guy is just, he's awkward, he's big, he really knows how to impose his height advantage and his size advantage on a lot of his opponents. And he does have some ring IQ in the sense that he knows how to use all of his advantages to his advantage. But in this case, if you guys watch that fight, you'll notice from the second round on, Canelo was the one that was backing up the bigger fighter. Canelo standing at 5'8", Kovalev at 6 foot, okay? There is a really obvious and significant height advantage. So it was really interesting to see how Canelo was imposing his skill and his presence on Kovalev. Now, I know at the very, very end of the match, Kovalev had said that after the 6th round, he was already really tired. And he claims that it was just too soon to fight, but he couldn't turn down the fight because of the money offer. So the offer for the money was just way too significant for him to just say no. He had to jump on it, which is respectable, which is fine. But I'm not sure if that reasoning is really the real reason why he was gassed out. I already said, we all know that Kovalev really has an issue with staying in the match, full force, that he does gas out towards the end already, okay? But secondly, if you guys noticed, from the second round on, because the first round was really a feeling out, Kovalev really took it, and he was the one that was putting a lot of jabs in. He was just getting his range, trying to get into. But from the second round on, Canelo really showed his counterpunching ability, and he was punishing Kovalev, hitting him to the body and hitting him with the left hook on sloppy, repetitive motions, okay? And when you have Kovalev trying to keep on touching Canelo and backing up, touching Canelo, backing up, like all of this activity, and then you throw on top of that the fact that he was just mentally zoned in the whole time and very, very careful in Canelo's counterpunching ability, this is a draining activity. So you have to give the respect to Canelo because he really imposed his will on Kovalev. Kovalev had huge and tremendous respect for Canelo. It was very obvious. When they came back after the bell, like he would touch gloves, like all that stuff. He was very apologetic when he made a bad move. He was kind of putting his shoulder in, and actually Canelo didn't even let him tie him up. Kovalev knows how to clinch, right? But when he did try to clinch, Canelo would just kind of put his arm up and then throw a chopping right hand to get him off. So, he did not really, for the most part, Canelo didn't allow Kovalev to do anything he really wanted to do. Kovalev tried to stay on the outside and use his long jab. As you can see in the stats, like he threw like a tremendous amount of jabs, which again, that contributes to why Kovalev was already gassed out after the 6th round. And I ran the fight back again this morning. I wanted to watch it like really carefully. And you know what? That punch, the left hook that Canelo had landed that knocked out Kovalev in the 11th round, he was throwing that exact punch from the 4th round. He was hitting that. It was just like as if that's really the punch that he knew from training for the last several months. He knew that that was the punch that he was going to deliver and end Kovalev. And guess what? That really was the one. He was doing that punch, that same exact punch from the 4th round on. So if you guys get a chance to run that fight back, just really watch out for that, because he was tagging him like he was just going this style right there. Kovalev couldn't really connect too much. He did connect, but it was not, it wasn't effective at all. It was really pitter-patter just to get him off, and backing up. But Canelo would just put his hand up, and then all of a sudden he'd step back. It would be like, boom, right to the body, or boom, right to the head. Like you really didn't know. He was so fast and explosive that Kovalev had to be afraid of those punches. And he was caught from the 4th round. So he was really sustaining a lot of like heavy shots. Canelo was very economical. He was very crisp. He was walking down the bigger man. So mentally, that's very draining for Kovalev. So honestly, I don't even think, it doesn't even matter if Kovalev went in there fresh. He honestly, it would have been the same outcome anyway, to be quite honest with you. In my humble opinion, again. Because Canelo is really the force that was more dominant in the fight. He was the one with the ring generalship. He was the one that was imposing his will, regardless of how many jabs Kovalev was throwing out there. Those were just jabs. And one thing that I love to see, on the 8th round, it was like a throwaway round for Canelo, but I think he just wanted to get his lungs back. He did get caught in a little bit of an exchange, but he tried to like rope-a-dope Kovalev. He went back, he got himself on the ropes, and then boom, like he'd hit him with a couple of hooks. And then when they broke out, they went to the corner, and Kovalev's trainer was telling him, hey, look, he's getting you on the ropes and he's waiting to counter you. Don't do that. And after that he didn't do that. But that was really the only round that we saw like the rope-a-dope. The rest of the entire fight was pretty much done right smack in the middle of the ring. And Canelo was cutting off the ring whenever Kovalev would try to like back up and circle around. Kovalev was just never able to be settled because he just kept on circling around. So that's why, really, I think he was tired, because mentally it was draining for him. Plus, he was getting punished on counter punches, and it was just a brilliant fight. And the knockout was just the icing on the cake. I thought that, like, is it likely that he was going to knock out Kovalev? The statistics showed that it was, but I thought that Kovalev was going to be able to land. Hey, look, it went 11 rounds. Other than that, I mean, there was one more round. Could he have lasted? Yeah, I think if he was a little bit more careful. But if you watch the exchange right before that, this is why I think Canelo is just like unbelievable. When he's like a shark, man. Like when he smells blood, he went in really for the kill. The exchange before that final knockout exchange, they went through this like couple of combinations, and Canelo had caught him with a right hand across the top. And he was doing this punch actually throughout. When they got really close, Canelo would do like a down chopping motion right hand. He actually caught Kovalev right in the temple. And Kovalev was just like little wobbly after that. As soon as I saw that, I was like, uh-oh, what is Canelo gonna do? And then a couple of exchanges, and then he just leaned into it. If you guys watch this in slow motion, it's just like a beautiful thing. He had like extended his body from this position, extended his body like this, and connected. And he was like His whole body was like looking perpendicularly like this. Put everything into that punch. And then of course when Kovalev was just like that, he was just looking straight at his face and he said, "Bip!" You know, it was just unreal. It was like I saw the whole thing in slow motion. I think the entire world saw it in slow motion while it was like in real time. So it was absolutely brilliant. Congratulations to Canelo Alvarez and his team. I think we could safely say that Canelo Alvarez is the absolute hero of the Mexican people, and they definitely should be proud of him. And all Canelo fans across the entire world, enjoy this fight. What's next really for Canelo Alvarez? We don't know. Does he stay up in the 175 and continue to chop down some of the elite fighters out there? Maybe, maybe. Can he do it in this fashion? He's got to be very careful of who he chooses, obviously. If you choose a fighter in this level, at this weight class, who has lungs, who could last 12, 15 rounds, you know, like I think Canelo would have a very, very tough time. I think fighting Kovalev was, again, relatively safe, and that's what I had said in my prediction. People are calling me crazy for saying that, but again, this was all just because of my, you know, my simple approach to boxing. You know, I just, again, asked myself, who's the more skilled fighter? And people seem to take offense to it because, hey, we all love boxing, right? We're all very, very passionate about boxing. But I'm okay with that. That's all good. So tell me what you guys think. Do you guys think that, were you very happy with the outcome? And Kovalev fans, let me know what you guys think. Were you guys satisfied with this outcome? I mean, I know that obviously Kovalev got knocked out. You would hate to see your favorite boxer being knocked out, of course, but in a boxing standpoint, like, you have to appreciate the art and science of boxing. And it doesn't even matter whose fan you are, like, you have to appreciate what happened in the ring that night. I mean, it was a concerto. It was, you know, it was a work of art, man. So, but anyway, let me know what you guys think. Please like and share this, this video. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and chime in. Let me know what you guys think. We'll talk to you soon.